images here. Yeah. So yeah, this must be
This is the bus stop and
they were like running down on grey.
building E.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy. PowerPoint slides. So as I said, Paris region is #1 in Europe for the concentration of public research. We have many researchers, many engineers, many European and worldwide companies doing R&D here in Paris region. So it's a very important transportation hub. And then to the Orly International Airport, all this in 15 minutes. It will cross RER B suburban line to Paris Center.
Just introduction question, but you say we have to develop, but I'm not sure you introduced who you and your colleagues are and what you...
Like I said, I'm still in Greece right now. Yeah. So we are a public authority, a public company, and what we do is we do land planning. Établissement public d'aménagement means land planning authority. So we're a public authority, a public company, and we are 80 people working here, many people building and taking care of the land planning, and a few people like me doing economic development.
Okay, so very quickly, this is gonna be technical. No problem about that. I'm gonna present you what we are going to see on the plateau, so over there.
Did you ask for the prettier version?
I think they like want to let's get into giving people experience.
Alright, that's good enough. It's almost a circle. So the game goes like that. Now think of the one adjective or the word that characterizes you, which starts with the same letter as your name. So for example, Oscar, optimistic. Eleanor, energetic. So the same letter, right? One word. Don't be too serious about this. There's no consequences. Maybe.
A long ring, like you run away.
Okay. And diverse.
Swiss, in Switzerland.
Exactly. I've heard some also, you know, this guy said this and this, but I don't agree.
So today, as I told you a bit earlier, we are going to have two sessions, two parallel sessions. So one group will go with Bruno Martineau for introduction to entrepreneurship, business models, etc. He'll explain it to you in more detail in a few minutes. And Coralie Frick will teach you, help you with the methodology of design thinking. So she'll help you with practical cases to ideate, create, and give you some tools so that you can express yourself in a structured way. So, Coralie, can you come and tell them what you're going to do today?
Do you already heard about the methodology of design thinking? Yes?
How to collect some question regarding the main project.
Okay.
Using the technology to make
The big one. The big one?
not even the music.
Yeah, I think time, but also the quality. Yeah, more simple to make a copy.
Because this is where is the dream. So you have to integrate that from the very early days in your thinking process. And again, that's a good question, because that's what the first part of what we're going to do today is all about. How can you think in a structured way about an idea that you can't know if it works or not? Yes?
In which way would your pitch differ?
Environment that the rule will change. It doesn't. But it rarely covers most of your funding requirements. So you're going to have to talk to investors.
When you put like the chemical in the water, it's not just a dry thing. Yes. So you can say, okay, so the 5 areas that we have, all of them could have these at different scales, of course. List of areas and then list of materials. Like, so we have areas, and in each area we should have like material, water, energy. Like, yeah, analysis. Or to say like, yeah, we don't have time for such a complexity, let's work just with the bathroom because it's a simple area. In theory. Is there recycling with all the waste on the university? Recycling, divided waste?
Divided, it's like everyone will have to do something.
Yes.
I already did our
Before you can pick another
And try to organize this information in a way to show, for example, an experience that
this area might be used more during the day, but then the dorms might be used more in the evening. So there's periods when each area is having a peak. That's something that is very important that you're saying. Waterways, so I think you can go like water and energy, waste and behavior. So we have five resources. Not that we need, I mean we can, there's 2 levels. I think we should put energy and water here. The packaging, so like the food is a complex element. It contains the food and the packaging.
I am in a project called Forecast, which is a project that works on simulations of negotiations as a pedagogical tool. And that's what we're going to do today. In the next few hours, I'm going to challenge you to step into the shoes of negotiators on climate change, express yourselves like them, position yourselves like them, take into account positions that maybe you're not going to be in agreement with. And that's what this exercise is going to be about. It's a simulation of negotiations that's going to make you work on public speaking as well. I know that you all have looked at your profiles, are very talented and very well versed on climate issues. So in the presentation that I'm going to do, I'm going to go relatively quickly, and whenever you feel like I might be going over something that you would like more detail about, do not hesitate to say, hey, Henry, I have a question. And you already have a question. That sounds good. Yeah.
Actually, I can take a picture of it.
Yeah,
Continue and speed up.
Climate finance. Supporting clean technology.
By increasing investment. I wouldn't say increasing crime with the technology and carbon trade.
Exactly, maybe increasing investments in green technology.
Because this is actually
You want to achieve this goal. That means you have to stay with us, no matter what your practice is. So you have to be.
well, if they want to invest in mitigation, it's not sustainable for either of us. So they have to be very, very on block on this one.
Dear representatives, welcome to this meeting of the Committee on Mitigation here on this COP23 in Bonn. I'm very happy that you're all here, but you've already been welcomed by my fellow, that was it, President.
The coalition of multinational banks is glad to be able to have a seat at the table. We recognize that we have an important role to play in the fight against climate change and express our commitment to work towards a more sustainable future. When making such important decisions, we must keep in mind that the scale of how such decisions will affect economies of scale. Just like a large ship, just like a large ship, global economies can take a long time to change its current trajectory, and throwing an iceberg in front of it can lead to disaster. So therefore, we must take conservative steps to ensure that our current economies can continue to support our change towards a greener future. International banks will continue to lend towards carbon-intensive industries like coal mining and fuel-powered generation as part of an orderly transition to a low-carbon economy. As we recognize that it will take time to practically transition. Stopping the investment and use of coal as an energy source could be damaging in other ways. 41% of the current world's electricity is produced with coal, and stopping this usage too quickly could leave billions of people in the dark. Therefore, we want to ensure a clean and sustainable transition, one that is thought out and carefully considered.
The main word for this session here, cooperation, and I would like to open the floor for first reactions. Do you have any first reactions? Should we?
I have a proposal.
About the possibility of financing such important innovations that can support billions of vulnerable people many from amongst your countries in being able to face the consequences of climate change. So
it'll be very interesting into negotiating with Mexico this kind of deals. And this is also a call for the coalition of multinational banks to support this Brazilian and Mexican alliance.
Yeah, we are of course committed to providing funding to any new technology that of course is going to transition us from the current fossil fuel market, but we just have to make sure that we are at the same time not reducing our current use of fossil fuels, because we need to ensure that we have a steady stream of electricity and energy, and of course we don't want to upset our economies of scale, especially for our nations who are sitting around the table who are very dependent on the fossil fuel industry.
Does the US want to answer to that?
I would just like to say that what we just stated before, that it depends on the technology that will be used. We are willing to contribute to adaptation measures. For example, the technologies used in California right now, we would be very, very willing to contribute in that way.
And so now it's time to take this 100 billion, because we so far have collected only 9 billion. And now we need strategies where how we can very fast reach the 100 billion mark by 2020 possibly.